Hello, namaste everybody. Welcome back to Trick Tracker's special show in the air. My name is Nivedna Prabhu. I know all of you are excited to be discussing Ki Kya Hoga in the second T20I with me, and of course with Pratyek Tiwari as well, who joins me once again back in the studio. Lekin, where can we expect all this, action to be taking place from? Let's take a quick look at that on our screens and at what time that's going to be as well, with the fact that India and England are going to be clashing in the second T20I. It's going to be starting at 7 p.m. ये होगा in Birmingham 7 p.m. IST. तो इसका मतलब that the match is just a few minutes away from us. So there's lots to be discussing. So we'll quickly dive into it without wasting time. सबसे पहले a great start for Team India to go into the first match by thumping England by 50 runs. We saw stellar performance by Hardik Pandya as well. Nobody would have ever thought that he had injury concerns just a few months ago. Pratik, just to quickly summarize on the first encounter and that momentum going into the second one.
Yes, a great victory indeed, Nivedna, because when you look at the margin, 50 runs is a lot of runs. In this particular format, it's a massive victory. And I think what we saw, the most pleasing fact about India was that they threw caution into a dustbin, and they were absolutely, that no holds barred approach, completely showing intent right from the word go, and constantly kept pressure on England, because this is a style of play that you usually associate England with, just going bang, bang and not stopping at all. That is a style of play that we usually see England playing, but it was very heartening to see as an Indian cricket fan that the kind of intent that the opener showed. Not too many runs there for Ishan Kishan, but Rohit Sharma, for a brief while that he lasted, played a good knock. Deepak Hooda, Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, of course, was the champion, striking with the ball, doing wonders with the bat, player of the match performance. So I think India would be very high on confidence. But yes, there are plenty of things, because the side is now going to change. So we can only thank that at least we are not having any headaches as far as selections are concerned, and let the team management take all the pain.
Right, it's going to be, since you pointed it out, if you were to talk about Pant, Iyer, Jadeja and Bumrah back in the squad, so it's going to be a tough call for India to choose the playing 11. In fact, Parthiv Patel also had to opine, saying that it thoda sa tricky situation hoga second T20I ke liye, and he was suggesting that the opening combination should have Pant in it. And this is quite an interesting point, because Gavaskar ka bhi कहना था that what Adam Gilchrist did in red ball cricket and white ball cricket, maybe Pant is that person for India, where he can be promoted up the order in white ball. ये काफी interesting point है, so we'll get talking to it if we actually find the time, because there's lots that we have for you on today's show. But if you have a viewpoint about Pant being promoted up the order, give me your honest opinions in the comments. उसी के साथ let's get talking about the second T20I now. Of course, India is having great momentum, having the first one. लेकिन second T20I के बारे में बात करते हुए, what is the head-to-head looking like between both these teams in this format? They have played 20 matches. England have won on 9 occasions. India have won on 11. ठीक है, तो ये तो हेड टू हेड के बारे में है. लेकिन मूविंग ऑन टू द सेकंड T20I, एक जो इंटरेस्टिंग चीज भी होती है, दैट इज द फैक्ट दैट अप्रोचिंग माइलस्टोन्स भी होता है पार्ट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर मैच. विल टेक अ लुक एट दैट, बिकॉज आफ्टर दैट आई गेट टू प्लेयर्स टू वॉच आउट फॉर. Here we have Rohit Sharma is 2 fours away from reaching 300 fours in T20Is. Jadeja is 2 scalps away from reaching the milestone of 50 wickets in T20Is. Jason Roy is 1 4 away from completing 150 fours in T20Is. All right. And Kohli requires 2 fours to get to 300 fours in the shortest international format, and Hardik Pandya requires 3 scalps to get to the landmark of 50 T20I wickets. Okay. So basically, the reason why I did the approaching milestones first is because, when if you would wait for a little longer, we wouldn't know how many of these names would still be making it to that 11. But Pratik, coming to you, this one particular statement, that's quite a big statement to be making, but it's Kapil Dev who's made this statement about Kohli, saying that if you can keep somebody like Ashwin out from the test side, then there won't be too many like a time where you're going to keep even a Kohli out of playing 11, because more than reputation, it is the current form. What is your take on this?
Well, see, whenever you're talking about Virat Kohli, of course, your ears will be standing, because it's a player of his caliber, if it's a player of his stature. It's not easy. It's not being easy, Virat Kohli, and it's not easy having a Virat Kohli in your team as well, because when you're talking about someone of his caliber, it's not easy to drop him, because you don't know how those things will be taken, of course. But of course, rightly pointed out, I think, by Kapil Dev, because there is a point when you will start to wonder that when. because we've seen that his form has been up and down since the last 2.5 years, and it's a
Yeah.
very long time. I mean, for no matter who you are, if you're not being able to score runs at the pace and at the consistency at which you're expected from, and you have only yourself to blame because you have set the standard so high. So if you're talking about Kohli, if you're not seeing him score centuries, if you're not seeing him score runs at an average that we know him to score those runs at 50, 55, then you will start to question that. And had it been a case of, see, for the first 5, 7 odd months, we probably kept on saying that, okay, there's not a lot of cricket that is happening. There was COVID happening around. But then after that, he has traveled a lot. He has played the IPL. So plenty of cricket has been now played. So we all, as much as we would hate saying that, but we have to admit that he is now out of form. And the good part about him being out of the form is that even when he's out of form, he is perhaps averaging in the higher 30s, which a lot of players would be very happy to score in general. But then because it's Kohli, so you start to think that do you want to have a Kohli who is averaging 38, 39 in your team? But
Well, that
again,
continues, right? That the form is
yes.
clearly more important, despite the fact that he's, Virat Kohli. We'll probably try getting a little more opinion, about this from Pratay probably later on the show. I'll come back to you, Pratay, if we do have the time for that. But there's comments coming in that they should try this with Rishabh Pant in terms of what I asked. But Ken has also said, for heaven's sake, try it in the IPL next year. Don't try it in the IPL next year, sorry. Do it now so that he could be a scare for other teams. Okay, that's a very interesting way to look at it. But also the T20I format is extremely important for both these teams competing today, because they're also looking for some potential good combination going into the T20 World Cup 2022, because they've also had changes in terms of captaincy as well. Now Butler did not perform exceptionally well in terms of his individual performance in the previous match, but maybe we might expect a Butler on fire kind of a show today. We're hoping. But what are the predictions looking like for today's match? All of you definitely share that with me in the comment section. Talking about changes as well, Kevin Peterson opined on commentary in the first T20I that Harry Brook is the potential replacement for Owen Morgan in England's white ball setup, and the young batter will have his time in the sun yet again today. So how many of you agree with this? Do you think, Harry Brook is that potential replacement for Owen Morgan? Give me your opinions. A Twitter user has said Kohli in T20I's post-COVID break, 13 innings, 502 runs, 55.77 average, 134.5 strike rate. This includes a man of the series against the best T20I side and turning up clutch against Pakistan. Dropping him with these is ridiculous. I don't think anyone's actually talking about really dropping him. It was probably Kapil Dev's opinion. Everybody, has a statement. And when it's Kapil Dev, I think, he has a little bit of that leverage to make statements like this. Now, how we, take it is completely a different point of view. But like Pratik gave us those stats and numbers talking about his average, how many batters would want to have that even when they would have a normal mode. But like I said, right, Kohli has set the bar so high. That's why we keep talking about him, because we expect him to bring that Kohli show back on. So जब भी होगा हम सब तैयार है देखने के लिए. But talking about what we should look forward to in this clash are players to watch out from both the teams. Now, who are those players? Let's take a look. Starting with Sam Curran, 16 wickets, 17 matches, best being 3 for 28. All right, moving on. Ishan Kishan, 532 runs, 18 innings, his highest score being 89. Jason Roy, 1,450 runs in 59 innings and his highest score being 78. Dinesh Karthik, of course, 507 runs, highest score being 55. This is in 32 innings. Joss Butler, Joss the Boss, 2,140 runs in 81 innings and highest score being 101 not out. All right. Harshal Patel, 20 wickets, best being 4 for 25 in 14 innings. ठीक है, ये तो काफी लंबा मतलब लिस्ट था दोनों टीम की तरफ से, लेकिन प्रत्येक को पूछते हैं एक ही प्लेयर पिक करने के लिए, उनको स्पॉटलाइट पे डालते हैं. एक प्लेयर इंडिया की तरफ से, एक प्लेयर इंग्लैंड की तरफ से, जो आपको लगता है कि ये डेफिनेटली कुछ धमाका करेंगे या डैमेज करेंगे.
Well, given the kind of form that we have seen, where we have seen Joss Butler, I think, and he missed out in the previous game. It's not very often that you see him, going out for a duck. But around 4 or 5 of his last 8, 9 innings in T20I cricket, I was reading a stat somewhere, have been ducks. So I think that it has been a kind of a case that it's either all or nothing for Butler. Either he is going absolutely crazy and he is hitting the ballers in all every corner of the park, or he is getting out very very early. So I think that is one aspect that he will have to work upon, because he has been in great form right from the IPL, even in the Netherlands ODIs. He was in great form there as well. So having missed out in the previous game and now being the captain, he would definitely be raring to lead from the front. From India, I think plenty of names, but I think because again it was Ishan Kishan who did not quite manage, because the track in the previous game was actually a great one for batting, and we saw that Kishan slightly struggled. So I think that and that has been a kind of a case with him, that when he struggles, he really struggles badly. But when he is in flow, there are not too many batters who are more free flowing than him, and not too many batters who you enjoy watching as much as you watch Kishan bat. So I think because these two missed out, and these are both openers as well, they get a chance to bat right at the top of the order. So I think Kishan and Butler would be wanting to make some amends today.
All right. So Pratyay has gone with these two picks. Who are you all going with? Tell me that in the comments. It'll also come quickly to player battles. But before that, Rao Asif has said only Ishan can leave his place for Kohli to open the innings. I don't think Huda should be dropped now. It will be the worst decision of Dravid. All right. Okay, we'll get talking about what the combination is, because the toss will also be coming, in a couple of minutes. So then we can see, what are the combinations that both teams have gone with, and then we'll take your point, Rao Asif. But let's talk about the player battle that we will probably get to see in this particular clash. Jason Roy versus Hardik Pandya. 46 runs that Jason Roy has managed, and Hardik has sent him to the pavilion on 2 occasions. बटलर वर्सेस भुवी, ये काफी इंटरेस्टिंग होगा बिकॉज ये हमने देखा इन द प्रीवियस मैच. 28 रन्स एंड 4 आउट्स, शायद ये 5 ही हो सकता है. बटलर के फैंस कहाँ हैं, मुझे बताइए कमेंट्स में क्या होगा. मोइन अली एंड चहल 19 runs and 2 dismissals. All right, now let's talk about the moment that all of us were waiting for, the toss update. England have won the toss and opted to bowl. Now, this is interesting that they've decided to bowl first. I thought they would go into bat first, actually. But आपको क्या लगता है, Pratyay? Looking at maybe we'll have to wait and watch what combination they've gone with. Then probably we can analyze as to why they've taken this. But bowling lineup say England के लिए who is going to be that interesting pick today?
I think if you talk about the toss, it could be a choice. I mean, England is a side that likes to, kind of chase. And in the previous game, despite the fact that India ended up defending, I think that you would usually, I mean, this has been the norm, right? Since in the last 1 or 2 years, whenever you would be talking about teams in the shorter format, you always prefer to kind of, have a target in front of you, because when you have a target, you are able to approach yourself better, and you are able to play and shift gears accordingly. So I think that could be one of the reasons, specifically given the fact that this is not as big a ground as well. The boundaries are slightly short. So I think that is another thing that could be made use of. Speaking of the bowlers, I think in the previous game, I think it was a case. I mean, Sam Curran, he has been in and out. Like, he has not been in the best of forms, I think, apart from the blast. If you remove it, we went out of injury, could not play in the World Cup as well. So he is one of those players, because he's a great all-rounder, of course. And apart from that, a couple of debutants as well that we were expecting were online. So you are seeing Richard Gleeson's name, a late bloomer. I mean, 34, 35 years of age. He's coming in, and someone who can deliver Yorkers at will, has got good pace as well. So I think Gleeson would be one of the players to definitely watch out for as far as England is concerned. And I think from India, of course, they had a great bowling performance. So now it becomes important for them to repeat it again and try to clinch the series at the earliest juncture.
All right, so this is, of course, in terms of what Pratyay thinks about the toss. The fact that England have won the toss and gone with the decision to bowl first, that's his opinion. आप सबका क्या कहना है? Who do you think are the potential bowlers from the England lineup who will trouble the Indian batters? Give me your predictions, analysis. I will also talk a little bit about Social Tracker, but before we dive into Social Tracker, Ken Young has said India has to be consistent. Hope Pandya will play the same role as he did for the last match. And of course, if he goes on to play well with the bat and the ball, then there's India is going to be very happy looking at the scheme of the T20 World Cup as well. Now, Rohit Sharma has stated we would have batted first. Looks like a good pitch. It has been used before for the blast game. We just need to adjust quickly and adapt our game. We have 4 changes. Kohli, Jadeja, Bumrah are back, and we have one more change. These guys are one of the best team. We want to back our game in Southampton. We want to be fearless, but we need to play according to the situation. दूसरी तरफ Joss Butler, England captain, has said. We're going to bowl first. Willie and Gleeson come in for Topley and Mills. Excited for him. It's a great chance to bounce back. Expect us to come back harder today. It's fantastic ground. India get a great support here as well. I mean, आप कहीं भी जाओ, किसी कोने में भी जाओ दुनिया का, मतलब इंडिया को तो support मिलेगा ही, तो surprises नहीं है उस चीज का. But playing 11, we would still want to see what the combination is. Although we've spoken about the changes, we will get to that in a bit. But let's dive into Social Tracker and find out what everybody's tweeting about this match, and then we'll come to seeing what the playing combination is. Is it happening again? Crick Tracker has tweeted here with this opening combination. Virat Kohli has been firing all guns blazing against England in T20Is. 80 not out. Virat Kohli and milestones, name a better combination. Milestone alert, 2 away from 300 fours, which we also told you on our numbers game. This is on Social Tracker that RCB has tweeted. Virat Kohli in T20Is, 51 average, 138 strike rate. This is, of course, a summary of everything that has happened in his 10, 12, 30 innings and in Australia and T20Is. Time for some T20Is. Okay. तो ऑब्वियसली विराट कोहली के बारे में तो बात करना वी कांट स्टॉप, यू नो, एवरीवेयर जहां भी आप जिस फॉर्मेट में भी बात करो तो कोहली का नाम आता ही है. उनके यू नो नंबर्स ऑफ कोर्स स्पीक फॉर इटसेल्फ. What do you expect from him? But I think more than anything, everybody is very excited to see him in the T20I format as well. There is a comment again coming in from Ken Young. It's high time Virat gets back his caliber to perform and silence his critics. I think more than silencing his critics, I think as a sports person, he would want to do well for himself. That's well my opinion. I mean, everybody can have, you know, different opinion. I don't think even Kohli would like, any sports person would like to go through that patch. You know, experts believe that एक time आपके career में ऐसा आता है where you go through a lean patch. So probably the only thing all Kohli fans can do is just be patient with him. But क्या पता आज कुछ नया देखने को मिले. You never know. We can talk about the playing 11 now. We'll get further talking about this because I want to know what Pratyay thinks about the combination. इंग्लैंड के बारे में बात करते हैं. सबसे पहले जेसन रॉय, बटलर ओपनिंग, दाविद मलान, लियम लिविंगस्टोन, हैरी ब्रुक, मोइन अली, सैम करन, डेविड विली, क्रिस जॉर्डन, Richard Gleeson, the person that we were talking about a few minutes earlier, or Matthew Parkinson. सेम जगह अगर अब इंडिया की कॉम्बिनेशन देखिए, मुझे तो बहुत खुशी हो रही है ये ओपनिंग कॉम्बिनेशन देखते हुए. रोहित शर्मा एंड विराट कोहली, सूर्य कुमार एट नंबर 3, पंत एट 4, फॉलोड बाय हार्दिक पांड्या, दिनेश कार्तिक, रविंद्र जडेजा, हर्षल पटेल, भुवनेश्वर कुमार, जसप्रीत बुमराह, युजवेंद्र चहल. अभी आप सोचो ये कॉम्बिनेशन के साथ अगर इस साल वर्ल्ड कप भी जीत ले तो क्या ही पता टीम इंडिया का हो भी सकता है. यू वांट टू टॉक अबाउट इंग्लैंड फर्स्ट, प्रत्यय, द फैक्ट दैट you spoke about Gleeson, but the overall combination, and then we'll come to it.
See, I think plenty of players missing from England ranks as well. You do not have Archer, you do not have Stokes, there's no Vokes either. So there are plenty of Bairstow missing as well. So there are plenty of first choice players who are missing from their side as well. But I think whenever you talk about these two teams, India and England, I think the most admirable quality about both these teams is the amount of depth they have and the kind of players they keep churning out. And not to forget, I mean, Adil Rashid as well. So I think someone like a Matt Parkinson becomes a good chance for him to audition for that role, because there's brooding competition everywhere, whether you're talking about India, whether you're talking about England, because there are so many players who are fighting for one single spot that it becomes difficult for you to finalize. So as I said, that it's a massive headache, and we all keep on saying that problem of plenty is a good problem to have, but at times it kind of becomes unsettling for you, because you want to know that which are going to be your 11 best players that you're going to field at a mega event like a World Cup. Now, when you have so many players, because in the last 17, 18 T20Is, India has fielded so many different combinations. Even right now, if you see, I mean, if you're talking from an Indian perspective, seeing Kohli and Rohit, I mean, as enticing a prospect as it is to see these two people opening, you also have to understand that you have plenty of players vying for that spot. And of course, fit in today for Kohli, you have to get someone like a Huda out, got a brilliant century against Ireland, played a good hand of 33 in the last game as well. So you got to feel for players. So I think this is where I think you can actually throw in the element that Kapil Dev actually pointed out, that if you are a Deepak Huda, what more do you want? I mean, what more is expected from you? You just scored a century. You scored a good cameo in the previous game. It was a counter-attacking sort of a knock that he played. What more do you have to do to stay in the team? So this is where the competition really comes in. And I think no matter what, I mean, it's good in one perspective, because when there is more competition, it kind of builds more pressure on the senior players as well, that see, your position is not secure in the team, so you cannot take it for granted. You have to match that performance. And all these players, I mean, whenever you talk about India, the approach that they have played their T20 cricket with, if you're talking about Rahul, Rohit and Kohli in the same team, you will feel that you need more enforcers, like perhaps say a Surya Kumar Yadav or a Deepak Huda, who can play quickly, because these three players are players who like to take time before moving on. So I think it's the need of the hour now for India to identify their combinations. As for
Yeah.
England, I think it's still a good balanced side. And Gleason, as I said, would be one of the players to watch out for. David Willey, again, a very handy all-rounder, someone who can
Yeah.
bowl well, contribute lower down the order with the bat. So I think both these teams looking pretty solid, I guess.
All right, and that, the point that Rao Asif had made earlier, he said that Deepak Huda shouldn't be dropped, but well, to make a place for a player like Kohli, these things will happen, and of course, probably they're giving him more chances. See, because there are two ways of looking at this. You don't give Kohli enough chances, then it's like, how can you not be patient with a player of his caliber to not come back in form? There's always two sides of the coin. But on that very note, I want to thank everybody for quickly joining us here. Don't worry, we'll come back today to be discussing the post-match, kind of verdict of what's going to be happening in this match. We're hoping that it's going to be an interesting game and it'll be a big win. Now, who's going to win, we don't know, but we're all ready for the action. On that note, I want to thank Pratik for joining me in the studio, for giving me his amazing opinion and analysis, and all of you for bringing your interesting questions. We will see you on the other side, only right here on Cricket Chat.